Hey guys, this is Juan with the Cine-Men Movie Podcast, letting you know that this episode is brought to you by San Marcos Mexican Restaurant, located right here at 2301 Southwest 59th Street in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Give them a check out as they have exclusive deals Monday through Friday for lunch day specials only. And then on Wednesdays, they have Margarita Wednesdays, frozen or on the rocks for just $5. What better way, what better medicine to get you over that hump day than some San Marcos frozen or on the rocks margaritas? And let them know that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you for an additional 10% off your entire purchase. San Marcos Mexican Restaurant, great food and even better customer service. It's the only restaurant of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
A piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do? You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Happy Monday, moviegoers. Welcome to Philadelphia. Welcome to episode 209. Welcome to the 4-year anniversary, and welcome to the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I am your host, Juan. I am joined by the cast, the crew, the guys. Craig? Can't hear you. Edward?
What's cracking?
Year 4.
Year 4. Guys, what an honor and what a privilege. What a day to hang out and just talk about movies and whatever else came across our life over the last 7 days. And before we get started, a huge thank you to everybody who clicked listen, download, share, like, subscribe. Anybody who's even listened to any of these voices over the last 4 years. A big thank you to everybody out there in podcast land, and especially on this YouTube channel, live on MSWA Productions, where you can finally watch us after 3 years of just listening to our ugly mugs. You can now finally watch us. Craig lighting his candle, Edward
Setting the mood. Setting
the mood. And for everybody joining us here, I'm going to put this up on the Facebook too, so everybody listening can see it. But I mean, guys, we started with this episode 1.
We here.
And now we're here. And it's just completely 360. Logo, sponsors, penmanship from everybody out there listening to us, whether I've never received a handwritten letter, but emails, anything out there that you guys have just been flooding us with all kinds of stuff. And even though we play around here, like even if it's harsh criticism about Zach walking in front of a bus or taking a leap off a building because he doesn't think Die Hard is a Christmas movie, like we appreciate all of that because you're taking your time out of your busy day just to send us some feedback. So whether it's good, bad, ugly, or everything in the middle, like I know I do. I'm sure you guys speak for it too. Like we all appreciate it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because literally, like, it's just been a fun thing to do with these two, 3 usually as well. But, you don't really get to do that without, having a little bit of a push from some of the viewers or listeners in our case, such as y'all.
So we got a fun show planned out for everybody out there who's getting ready to listen to. We have a fun top 5, and we're gonna get ready to get into some movie news, which isn't a lot, but I still think it's gonna be fun to talk about. And then I was gonna do a retrospect look back of just last week's episode. A 24 month came to an end with X. And then Edward, let everybody know out there who hasn't yet listened to the bonus episode. Last Thursday, you and Ernie killed it when you guys were reviewing Tokyo Revengers, man.
Man, I'm trying to. Me and Ernie are trying to push this thing off on a good note. We want to go ahead and introduce new quality content. And Ernie came up to you with an idea for Tokyo Revengers. I'd never heard of it. I don't think you've ever heard of it either. But
No.
he brought it to our attention. You were like, "Hey, man, I know you like anime. Do you want to get in on this?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." Well, so I didn't fully just binge watch in a week, but I watched this over the course of I think 2 weeks total, 24 episodes, and yeah, we pretty much reviewed, kind of jumping around here and there, usually kind of how we do, but episode 1 to episode 12. So yeah, catch us on another one on Thursday for that matter. We are going to
Yeah,
go ahead and get into that.
this Thursday they're going to talk Tokyo Revengers season 1 still part 2. But guys, if you haven't listened to any of our shows, listen to episode 1 all the way to
Oh
last
yeah,
week, episode 208, anywhere you listen to podcasts: Anchor, Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher. And thanks to the Prescribed Films Network, on Tuesdays, you can catch us on Apple Music. Um, Edward, we're literally 30 days away from Halloween Palooza,
yep.
Iowa. We're getting our own little booth. It's our first
Wow.
horror con, podcast con, whatever you want to call it. But we're gonna go and just make sure that the presence are felt from Oklahoma City
Oh
and the
yeah.
Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go out there. Maybe go ahead and meet some of y'all if y'all come to it. If y'all know where it is, Altamont, Iowa, for that matter. So there is that. Yeah, come and say hi for that matter. We'll probably, just be there, and yeah, we're gonna.
I'm bringing. I
Yeah.
know. I'm gonna bring some stuff to the table. Ed, I know you're gonna bring some stuff. We have 4 weeks, so we're gonna try to get some merchandise together as well. Um, so yeah, but you can listen to us, like I said, anywhere you listen to podcasts at. The social media is real simple. Go ahead and follow us for all different kinds of giveaways. Facebook.com/the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Instagram is all one word, Cine-Men Movie Podcast. You can follow the Twitter at Cine-Men405, or the easiest and fastest way to get a hold of us is CINEMEN921@gmail.com. There you can email us, and I don't plan on this being a different kind of episode. Year 4, year 5 is probably going to be a lot bigger than today. But this is just the tying of the knot. Year 4 is getting ready to be over. Next week we start. We're going to go into year 5 with a bang. We're talking to a director from Australia next week.
Australia.
What do you guys think about that? I know I just kind of announced it last week, but what do you guys think? We've talked to directors before in the past, but this guy is just on a whole nother country. He's gonna be at 10 o'clock in the morning while we're talking to him at 7 o'clock at night. So listening to us in Australia, you'll have some breakfast and the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Hey, I think it's a very cool thing, to reach internationally for that matter. This guy's in complete different hemisphere than we are, so that's awesome as well. Plus, just to kind of get maybe a small feel, because none of us have been to Australia, and a small feel of what maybe they think about, or they kind of look at film over there. Because it might be different, might be the same.
Yeah, like we film in Hollywood, and like it's all here for us. You know what I mean? Whereas
Yep.
Australia, Hollywood is somewhere like, we think of it as this place that's kind of make believe and almost not real at times. It's kind of it'll be interesting to think like what they think of, a place that's not even a part of their country.
Yeah.
Like it would be interesting to kind of hear it from somebody else's point of view.
And Craig, I want to throw a shout out to we talked to him on the Grinch episode 2 years ago. So I don't know if Craig was there for this, but we interviewed actor and promoter Nicholas Rice a few years ago, and he just published his book, guys.
Oh, nice.
Preemptive Strike is now available on the audio link for 99 cents, or you can get the paperback for $10. When he was talking to us, Ed, I don't know if you remember, it's the movie that the script that he had
Mhm.
written, Preemptive Strike, but it has now turned into a book. So we're gonna try to get him on the bestsellers list. So you guys can go to Amazon.com and just check out, type in Preemptive Strike Beyond Sight, and go check out that book, man. I'm going to be getting a few copies. I'm going to talk to him, and I think he's going to join us for an episode in the future. But man, just you know what? Local talent. He's from Dallas. He lives in Norman. He's a big OU fan. So you know what? Just being surrounded by local talent and local actors, directors, and then just seeing everybody soar and fly, man. That's what this thing is all about. So a big shout out to Nicholas Rice. So hopefully that book does well for him. You know, we'll get him here on the
Yeah.
show here soon. But yeah, let's get ready to Ed, you got something to mention for us?
Yeah, so we are sponsored by a place called Rodeo Cinema. Basically, it's OKC's exclusive historical nonprofit art house offering unique films, music, and live performance. So, I mean, they've got stuff coming up. September 18th, the 100th anniversary of Nosferatu with a live organist. It's just that's a small little touch right there. 100-year-old film with a live person playing the organ. That's something really cool that no other film theater in Oklahoma City, especially I know for a fact, is offering that. As well, these guys are very easy to find just in the stockyards at 2221 Exchange Avenue, Oklahoma. We have it right down there on our screen in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So yeah, go give them a visit. Tell them the podcast, Cinema Movie Podcast sent you, and just honestly, watch a great movie, sometimes brand new, sometimes older, on a very historic ground for that matter. It's awesome.
Been you.
Yeah.
All right.
We forgot to wish everybody here in the States also happy Labor Day Monday. Um, big
Happy extended college football weekend.
There you go. Guys, this is insane, but it's the number one movie in America right now. Top Gun Maverick is sitting at the number one box office this past weekend with $6 million. Number one at the box office. Number two is Bullet Train. Number three, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number four, DC Super League Pets. Number five, The Invitation. Number six, The Beast. Top Gun Maverick. What in the blue hell is going on with Top Gun Maverick? It's the number one movie in America right now.
It's got to win every award.
Still pulling G's, man.
Come
award
season. Like the fact that he's 6 million.
Yeah.
4 months after, because it came out in May, right?
Yeah.
4 months, 3.5 months later, and it's still pulling 6 million when some movies don't even get that their opening weekend. It's not just like that it's a good movie. Like,
and not
it's
only
about to be out on streaming.
It's already on streaming, and not only is it number one in the theaters right now, but it's number one on every conceivable platform that you can stream right now. Vudu, iTunes, Google Film. It's number one. It's the number one streaming movie right now across the entire world. So,
hey, home run. And when they decided not to put that on streaming initially and just hold off, it's because they knew what they had.
Yeah.
And like,
very, very smart.
So, I mean, what is it? 1.355 billion?
Yeah.
So far?
Not billion.
No.
It's in the billions. Yeah, it's made over $1 billion.
Okay, yeah. No, the numbers sounded weird, but yes.
Oh, my bad.
Yes. The only thing else that I wanted to bring up, Brendan Fraser got a 6-minute standing ovation for his recent film that was played over the weekend at a film festival, And not only is it a new A24 movie, but it's directed by Darren Aronofsky, and it's The Whale. So that's really really popular right now. That's
Oh yeah.
trending. Brendan Fraser's 6 minute standing ovation, and I wanted to read this tweet from The Rock. It said, "Man, this makes me so happy to see this beautiful ovation for Brandon. He supported me coming into his Mummy Returns franchise for my first ever role,
Yep.
which kicked off my Hollywood career. Rooting for all your success, brother. Congratulations, my bud, and congratulations to Darren Aronofsky. Hashtag The Whale."
Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it brought him to tears because, like, this guy I don't think realizes somewhat to a point, like, how many people are behind him. And I mean, I just hope how it's going stays this path just because, like, dude had a hard time. And I mean, yeah, there's a lot of success he's had, but hopefully this is a resurgence for him,
His
And I mean,
his
yeah.
climb back, his
Oh,
climb
yeah.
back is something that's obviously he dealt with some issues.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's dealt with some personal stuff, but his ability to kind of be done with acting, and then come back and um, you know, get a couple roles here and there where they weren't huge, but he was starting to get back in the
Get his
public
chops
eye,
back.
and then all of a sudden come out here and to hear people give him a 6 minute ovation for a movie, which if the ovations for the movie and him, kudos. But or if it's just for him for the role he put on, then hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for him. He is one of the few that, like, you look and you're just like, I hope everything he does moving forward is a success.
Seems like a genuine guy.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
because there was a clip on Twitter where some people met him and were like, "Hey, you were our childhood."
Yeah.
With some of the movies that he did, and he took a picture with them, signed some stuff, and they just were talking to him for like 5-10 minutes, and then he started crying. And it's like, it's good to see people have an emotional reaction when they realize, like, I'm not just doing this for money. Like, I'm actually doing stuff that, like, people love this and me, and it's
It
good
makes
to
a
just see that.
difference.
Yeah, it's good to just see that.
This isn't movie news, but that's the only thing I wanted to bring up. I'm going to bring up some TV shows a little bit later on in recent watches, but the movie we're talking about is Philadelphia. We're at the beginning of September. Everybody knows that October is AIDS Awareness Month, so you guys can go and check out some informational stuff, and you can donate if you want to. HIV.gov. There's tons of events and things going on all across the United States and the world for the month of October. Some people think the month of October gets overshadowed because of Breast Awareness Month. But if you guys want to donate or go check out and learn more about HIV and AIDS, just go to hiv.gov for all of your awareness needs. And again, it's a big part of what we're talking about today. But some recent watches. Ed, we'll start with you. Do you have anything that you want to recommend on recent watches?
So continuing with She-Hulk episode 3,
Yes.
continuing with House of the Dragon episode 2.
Episode 3 came out last night. I did not get to watch episode 3.
Neither did I.
Okay,
But
we're
I
good.
did watch the first two.
Okay. Well, we're good up until that point then.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're all on episode 2, correct?
Yeah. You know what? It's tremendous. It has made me fall back in love with the Game of Thrones lore, and it makes me want to go through and rewatch 1 through 8. Well,
I can't.
No.
I can't.
hold on though, because I even though I was a huge fan in the beginning, I haven't seen anything past season 3.
Oh wow!
So,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So watching House of Dragons made me be like, whoa, this makes me want to go back and finish what I started.
Has anybody
Okay.
checked out the Lord of the Rings?
I did not yet. I was about to mention that.
It's getting like an 88%. Like,
I wanted to, but I couldn't find the runtime on the episode, and that scared me. So
Yeah.
I was like, is the one episode length 2 hours? Is it an hour and 30? I wanted to hurry.
I don't know yet.
Yeah. But the first 2 episodes are on Amazon Prime.
So yeah, other than that, really just been kind of practicing on a daily hobby that I do here and there. Other than that,
Juggling?
No.
Nice. Um,
No.
it has been a slow week for me. Just because work has been massively insane last week, but it's finally starting to slow down for me. So my watches are going to go back up real soon. I watched Tusk for a recent episode of Friday the 14th UHD. You can go back and hear my thoughts on Tusk. Um, checked out episode 1 and 2 of House of the Dragon. It was phenomenal. You know what, Edward? Episode 3 of She-Hulk. I don't know how or why, but it continues to entertain me. Um, I probably could have lived without her twerking, but you know what? It's funny. You know,
I
it made me
mean,
laugh. It made me laugh.
it was just kind of like, what the, but yeah.
And in a time and place in a super busy world right now, I needed to laugh. And honestly, it was a fun episode.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil anything, so if you guys want to go back out there and continue to try to watch that, go check it out. You'll see some cool cameos from the Marvel and from the
Yeah.
MCU in that episode. I didn't get to tune in, and I tuned in, but I didn't get to be a part of episode 1 of Tokyo Revengers. So I
Yeah.
went back and I'm trying to hurry up and catch up as much as I can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to join you guys on Thursday, but you know what? It's a fun anime.
It's a crazy little one, but I mean, the biggest thing that we kind of touched on was the fact that, like, Dragon Ball, obviously, you have, powers and flying and teleportation and, insane power limits. You've got Naruto with insane jutsus and,
Right.
powers and all that. This one's just simply hands.
But you can
This
go
is,
check it out on
yeah.
HBO Max. I didn't get to rewatch Elvis, but Elvis hit HBO Max this past week as well. So if you guys did not get to check that in theaters, you can go check that out now.
I did start that, but I haven't finished it yet.
Other than that, I checked out Philadelphia last night for today's episode. I did finish Miss Marvel, so I thought it was a pretty good ending. The very last scene sets you up for
Something.
yeah, but it sets you up for what's the Captain Marvel 2 movie
Brie
called
Larson.
now? Huh?
The Marvels.
The Marvels. Yeah, the Marvels comes out, but that doesn't come out until July. So I'm like, damn. But yeah, you know what? And then I did end up watching some college football on Saturday. It was nice to see a lot of teams get back out there, and just nice to have it on TV. Even though I used a few games for background noise, it was still fun listening and hearing for everything. Craig, check anything out other than that massive sunburn?
Yeah. Do you see it? Like, these are my glasses right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought somebody was sucking on your face. I thought it was hickey.
Yeah. My watch was on here, and yeah, that's all. So I went to the OU game Saturday.
For everybody who doesn't know what that is, what is OU?
Oklahoma football.
Okay,
Yeah,
there we go.
Oklahoma University in Norman, Oklahoma. They were playing University of Texas El Paso, the Miners. Got hooked up with some tickets from another podcast on Twitter. I will plug them here in a little bit, just for at least I can do for the tickets. But got hooked up with that. Went to the game. It was extremely hot. It was like 120 in the stadium or on the field, so you can only imagine what it was like in the stands. And then just throughout the weekend, dude, starting from Thursday, West Virginia Pitt, TCU, just if there was football on, it was on my TV. Even rewatched the OU game when I got home because I like to see it on TV, kind of see some things I missed, break down. I like to break it down sometimes film wise. But really, like, Philadelphia was my only movie.
Good.
I know I'm a part of a movie podcast.
But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, that's all that counts. As long as you see the subject matter.
I'm football's only around for a few months a year. And I got to get my fix, man. So.
My boys won. The Longhorns got a W today. I don't think I don't know about a W next week. But they got a dub week 1. Next, it's up for the now it's on to Alabama.
Did you watch the Florida State game last night?
I did not. I heard about it though.
Florida State punts to LSU. LSU drops the ball.
I liked your comment or tweet about it though. About it's just two teams that won't make a bowl game. So
it's 2 5-7 teams gave us the greatest game of the year. But They punted it. LSU muffed it. Florida State had the ball. They could have kicked a field goal and pretty much won the game. They did a toss on like the 3-yard line. Dude fumbled it. LSU went 98 yards, scored on the final play of the game, and they got the extra point blocked. 24-23.
I did hear about the University of North Carolina game. I saw
that
highlights. I saw highlights of that, and I'm like, geez.
It was like 65, 63. Yeah,
how Mac
insane.
Brown is surviving with no heart attack on the field, I don't know.
Probably because he doesn't care. He's like, I'm just collecting the check.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's all. That's my recent watches.
Fun watch. But guys, if you're checking us out, this episode is also brought to you by CDR Electronics. CDR delivers and gives you the best value for electronics. Check them out now at 1604 West I-240 Service Road, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73159. They have movies, games, cell phones, iPhones, Apple, tablets, anything you need for your electronic needs. CDR Electronics, again, in-store, 1604 West I-240 Service Road. And don't forget, let them know that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you, and it should be able to hit you up with some nice feels. But I don't know if you guys know this, but I got some truth about Philadelphia.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
So some interesting facts about Philadelphia. The courtroom scenes were filmed in an actual courtroom that the city let the filmmakers use. It was not a set. The moment when Mary Steinberg's character says that she hates this case was improvised in the moment when the actress expressed her hate towards her role after shooting the mirror scene with and Jonathan Demme, the director, encouraged her to incorporate that into the role so the woman would seem more human. Jonathan Demme decided to record the opera scene live so Hanks could get a better performance with the music playing. This proved extremely tricky in the editing suit. Music usually is added in post-production. Some interesting facts. Tom Hanks said that his casting was a deliberate step to get people to see the movie about a lawyer with AIDS over the big puppet show or something other less intense option. A number of previews made it clear it was a legal drama, but gave no hint whatsoever of the actual subject matter. Interesting. So unless you went and saw Philadelphia back in the day in 1993, the ads and the trailers made it seem like there were no HIV or AIDS in the movie at all.
Wow.
Interesting.
I mean, it kind of plays into the storyline, though, which we'll get into later.
Yeah.
And I'll come back around to why I say that.
You know what? If you guys are checking out, if you guys love horror movies, our horror season kicks off next week. But you can check horror movies and horror reviews out every single week live on this YouTube channel, Imisawa Productions. Next week is not really a horror movie, but it was my pick. Next week this week, the 7th, we're reviewing Little Nicky. I'm like, you know what? It's got the devil in it. It's got boobies. It's a horror movie, right?
You could review that Texas game on Saturday.
I said I want to review a funny horror movie, not a slasher. But no, this Thursday, me, Nick, and Mr. Fuentes we are reviewing, Little Nicky. Because Nicky. Friday, this Friday is Adam Sandler's birthday, so why not?
Sandman.
Yeah, the Sandman. Just because summer is over, guys, doesn't mean you still can't have ice cold drinks. OKC Soda Company is the best soda company in Oklahoma City with flavors like strawberry shortcake, cherry limeade, orange cream soda, root beer, even though summer's over, it's still the perfect ice cold drink that you want in your cooler, whether it's trick or treating or getting ready to go to some family gatherings for the holidays. Make sure you have OKC soda in your cooler, in your fridge, and be the life of the party. Check them out. Um, and always send them an email. If you guys are here locally, send them an email and let them know that Cinnamon Movie Podcast got you to drink it. And if you're here locally, check them out. It's in Pruitt Foods, Crests, almost in any local natural grocers here in Oklahoma City. So, that being said, guys, it is time for our most favorite sacred segment of the entire day and the entire show. We're talking the top four. And you know what? Since this is our 4th-year anniversary, we thought it would be fun to talk about our top 4 or top 5 favorite episodes or conversations we've had in those episodes. Oof. No slamming doors. No locked doors.
No more locked doors.
No more locked doors. So yeah, if you guys are joining us every single week, we have a fun top 5 segment. The theme changes every single week. Today we're talking our top 5 conversations that we've had on this podcast, or some of our top 5 memorable episodes that we've ever done. So if you want to play along, go ahead and send in your email at cinemen921@gmail.com and share some of your favorite memories of the podcast, and I'll read them at the end of this week or next week. Does anybody have any honorable mentions?
Yes.
I don't have any. Ed, go ahead and hit us up with yours. Rapid fire.
So just one, kind of funny one actually. One of the latest, the Tokyo Revengers bonus episode. That's kind of why it's an honorable mention, because it's not one of the episodes, but love
It
that
is an
conversation,
episode.
man.
Oh, I get you. Yeah, okay.
Not one of the mainstream or main episodes, but yeah, love the conversation. Finally got some anime in there, and yeah, can't wait for more. So yeah.
Number 5.
Oh,
5.
Are we doing top 4? Or are we doing top 5?
Top 5.
that's why I was like, what?
Okay, top 5.
Okay.
Top 5 from year 4.
I'll go first. Number 5 for me is going to be a conversation that me and Craig had. Episode 172, Spider-Man No Way Home. You know, it was just a in-depth conversation. It's one of those conversations that we had that you can't remember, honestly, going back and trying to listen to it. It wasn't a memorable top 5. It wasn't a memorable, anything else. It was just a pure conversation of movie loving, just piece of work, piece of art, is what it was. And I wish I still kind of had that feeling after watching Spider-Man No Way Home. I still kind of do, but like that first time when it was over, and then we got when we sat down and we had a conversation about the movie, dude, it was something special. And that was a fun movie to talk about literally days after it came out. So, and I think what made it so fun, for me at least, is not everybody really went to go see it opening night. So I personally didn't have anybody to talk to about it really until the episode, and we sat down and we just splooged the entire conversation about Spider-Man No Way Home. So, and it's very rare in a Marvel movie that you get to talk about performances, death, somebody coming back after 20 years, and Spider-Man No Way Home just had that. So spoiler alert, the movie's almost a year old. So, and my biggest memory from that is the Willem Dafoe performance. So if I had to nail it down to just the conversation, like I said, it would be the Willem Dafoe conversation that we had in Spider-Man No Way Home, episode 172.
Yeah.
Ed, number 5 for you.
Number 5 for me is kind of a newer one as well. 203. Nope. Uh, Honestly, I was really ready for this movie. Didn't know what to fully expect. Um, I kind of liked how we did the argument of the the beast, the alien jean jacket, whatever you want to call it. Um, I always have fun in that kind of a debating side, I guess. So, no matter what, no hurt feelings, simple as that. That's how we go. Just like it's always a fun thing. But it's always
I'm
a fun.
sorry.
This is like what?
Number 5
Yeah.
for you, Craig.
Number 5 for me is going to be Jurassic World Dominion. Just how much we all, me in particular, just completely shit on it. It was. I'm gonna be honest. It was nice to see Zach kind of just like be disappointed that it was such a bad movie because he was so excited for it. So yeah, that's my number 5. It was we got to talk about it. It was awful, and Zach was very disappointed. So
Number 4.
4.
Number 4 for me, Craig, I'm right behind you, is a tie. But number 4 is episode 147, Fast 9, and episode 197, Jurassic World Dominion. Because they're two outlandish franchises and two movies that just completely shit the bed. But they provided two different conversations. But they're really fun movies to talk about. And that makes some of the better conversations or better reviews, I guess, are movies that people really don't agree on. Like Ed really kind of thought Jurassic World was pretty good, but then on the other hand, he thought Fast 9 was complete dog shit. And those two feelings are just fun. And when you have a diverse conversation about two different movies, those two popped up on me. So that's my number 4, Fast 9, episode 147, and episode 197, Jurassic World Dominion. Ed, number 4 for you.
Number 4 for me, I'm going to go ahead and go with episode 164. That is Dune of 2021. A couple episodes before this, we did Dune, the 1984 original. And that explained that episode. This one, however, was a heck of a lot different. We were actually glad. A lot of us were glad that we had watched it. A lot of us were glad how different it actually was. And if I'm not mistaken, all 4 of us were actually looking forward to a possible add-on sequel or anything like that. So
comes out next year, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, kind of to have the same movie in different perspectives, different periods of time, get a different reaction like that from 4 different people was kind of nice and kind of cool, And I mean, they are kind of wildly different movies about the same thing. So yeah.
Craig, number 4 for you.
Number 4 for me is going to be Inglourious Bastards. Just talking about it. I think our top 5 in that was Brad Pitt movies.
Yeah.
I think it was. I didn't go back and check it all out, but it's when we started talking about knocking it out of the park, So it's one of the things that when we talk about these episodes, sometimes things stem from it that last in the podcast, and that's one that really has stuck around. Where when movies excel and we do better than they think, they knock it out of the park. So it was a fun episode. Talking about how Brad Pitt was just so, his acting was so good, but it was so bad to watch. So it was just a fun episode, fun topic to talk about. Number 3.
Number 3 for me is when we popped Craig's A24 cherry. and it was episode 106, and we talked Midsummer. I believe you had actually technically seen Ex Machina before that,
Yeah.
but on mic wise, it was just so hilarious to get your
Well,
take on Midsummer.
Ex Machina is technically tame compared to Midsummer. It is on the other kind of other spectrum of
Oh yeah,
A24.
for sure. But you know what? You when we showed you that movie and you watched it and you came over to do the podcast, that's when we were still doing them live in person, and you were just like, dude, I don't think I'm ever gonna be on another fucking episode. And like, I don't think I'm ever gonna watch another A24 movie.
And
And yet
then
here we are so many years later, and it was a fun conversation. I highly recommend you try to watch the movie and then go back and listen to our conversation with Craig. It was fun. So number 3 for me, 106 Midsummer. Ed, number 3 for you.
Number 3 for me, 195 Top Gun Maverick. It's kind of a funny thing that like that episode kind of drew me because how long it is still in, of course, like we talked just a bit earlier, but at the same time, even then we're just like, what can this movie do? Is it going to do this? Is it going to be, all these different little things kind of just like playing that thought role of what can it do? And right now, a lot of what we thought it was going to do, I think has come to pass, if I'm not mistaken. But at the same time, with the rooster stash, with
Sorry.
what? Just different things like that kind of always get my thoughts going back to an episode and make me remember some little things here and there. So yeah, Top Gun Maverick 195.
Craig, number 3 for you.
Number 3 for me. You know what? I'm gonna bump that one up. Number 3 for me is gonna be Batman.
The Batman.
The Batman with Robert Pattinson.
Another fun conversation.
Oh yeah.
Just the way that we all, when we were talking about it, we had that glimmer of hope that DC was on the right path, and then they come out and they're like, "We're scraping everything," and but when we were talking about the Batman, we were so high from the Ed was high. We were talking about it, and we were, but we were just so excited that we felt like DC was finally on the right path. And the movie was a great topic. Just how we were talking about the characters and how the Penguin's going to get his own show and everything that stemmed from that after, the Suicide Squad kind of brought out Peacemaker, and we just thought DC was on the right path, and everything in that conversation, we were just so excited for what was to come with DC. And, it's like, it's good that Marvel's doing good, and it's good that Marvel's putting out good products, but to be able to have DC putting out the same, if not better products at the same time is something that, when they compete for dominance in their respective genre, it's only going to continue to make things better. So it was just a fun conversation, and yeah. Number 2.
Number 2 for me, this still brings back just so much glimmer and so much warmthness to my heart. Number 2 is going to be episode 100, where we talked about our top 5 plus 5 movies that we share so near and dear to our hearts. Like some of us got a little emotional talking about movies that we had just fell in love with. Again, that episode is great. It's episode 100. I would highly recommend go back and listen to it. It was a girthy episode, but you get to hear, they may not be award-winning masterpieces, but you get to hear why some of the movies are our favorite movies. And if you've never ever listened to us and this is your first opportunity, your first chance listening to us in this Philadelphia episode, I think you get to know all of us really good in episode 100. That's a great, if where it all begins over again, episode 1 to 100. 100 is really like, you don't have to go back and listen to the first 100 episodes.
No, it bears it all.
Yeah, you can start with episode 100. So that's number 2 for me. Edward, number 2 for you.
Number 2 for me, I'm going to go to episode 190, American Psycho. Um, I just I like the conversation about how Christian Bale brings this character, you know, kind of a newer age Psycho for that matter, of course, but the corniness, the kookiness, the cards, the conversations about the cards, uh, and what it meant to them for that matter, and it's got to be this with this type with this kind of font and all this other crap that really is insignificant in a lot of ways, but it's just always kind of a funny little deal when we get to have conversations about movies like that has all those little elements in it. So, yeah, American Psycho.
Number 2 for me is going to be No Country for Old Men. Just when Ed gave his star rating, and we all just thought he was out of his mind. It's something that lingered and still lingers to this day about saying how can he like a movie or rate this movie better than No Country for Old Men or at the same level. Um, it's just funny, kind of the callback to we're sitting there and we all give it like tens, and Ed's like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7. We're just like, are you high? Like, are you currently high right now? So it was just that episode was a tops for me.
Number 1.
One.
You know what? Number 1 for me, a lot of people would think, oh, it's a give. The very first episode. No. Number 1 for me is going to be episode 158, last year's 3-year anniversary, when we talked about Psycho again, and we got to talk about it with Craig there, and we got to talk about it with Zach there, and we had emails, and it was a different formula, and the show was just so updated, and it felt good, it felt real. It was just good to see how we have grown from episode 1 with me and Ed. Sound like we were talking to each other in a closet too. Now, everything looks good, sounds good. We have a lot of listener interaction. So, last year was really, really fun, really special. And it just kind of threw, even though, even though we're not like paying bills with this, it's just fun that we have this much fun and that many people listen to us just with us having fun and talking about movies. So,
Yeah.
number 1 for me, number 158, Psycho from last year. Edward, number 1 for you.
Building on yours for that matter, 158, Psycho as well. Um, Most of the same exact reasons, simply just because, I don't know if you had ever seen that before, Craig. I think you had watched it with Johnny whenever, or Juan
I
whenever
I was there when he was starting it, and then I
yeah.
head out. Yeah.
So I mean, getting your take on it, getting Zach's take on it, because that's more kind of like Zach's area of movies for that matter. He likes those movies quite a bit, and even getting to get a new take ourselves. Your and myself for that matter on air. Uh, just those things right there, and then revisiting that first episode, kind of like you said. The maturity, the maturing aspect of it all, the conversation, fuller, and just the differences of how we view it for that matter. I mean, it's plain and simple as that, man. So yeah, 158, Psycho.
Number 1 for you, Craig.
Number 1 for me, I just had it here, but I lost the episode number. But it was the Marvel top 5 plus 5. We for me, obviously, Marvel is a big part of my genre of my library. Um, I would say Marvel really kicked off my fandom for movies. Dating back to what is now X-Men, Spider-Man, not just the MCU, but all of Marvel. Those movies when I was little, Hugh Jackman, Tobey Maguire, just massive parts of my childhood. And so just getting to be able to talk about Marvel Top 5 Plus 5 with you guys, hearing everybody's kind of, what they like about it, and hearing their list. It was just good. And hearing the listeners list as well. Just kind of seeing like where everybody ranks, what's what, it was a fun episode.
Yeah. Really fun top five, guys. If anybody out there wants to share your top five episodes that we've ever done, by all means, go for it. And send us in your top five at CINEMEN921 at gmail.com. Jeremy says it's really cool that the thumbnail for this video was Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington in the movie Philadelphia.
No other way.
And guys, that's what we're talking about today. We're getting ready to get into Philadelphia, which is our, this entire year is. We'll get into it here soon. But this episode is also brought to you by Red and Blues Pizza, located right here at 4500 South May Avenue in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Give them a call right now at 405-602-2838. You can dial in and go pick up your pizza. They're open 7 days a week. If pizza's not your thing, they have sandwiches, burgers, gyros, salads, wings, and everything in between. So go check them out and let them know that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you for your pizza. Yeah, let's get into the movie. Before we do get into the movie, though, guys, we are going to shed a little bit of light on the director, Jonathan Demme. Why does that name sound familiar? He's directed Silence of the Lambs, The Merchant Candidate. He's also done a few episodes of TV as well. So he's directed like 72 different projects. But I'm just going to name off a few movies, and you guys can be like, which one's your favorite, maybe. Ricky and the Flash, A Master Builder, Rachel Getting Married, The Merchant, The Manchurian Candidate, The Truth About Charlie, Beloved, Philadelphia, Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs for sure. I mean, Philadelphia is definitely a close second, but Silence of the Lambs for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's Silence of the Lambs. It's probably just out of all of these, just the name alone is the most noticeable.
Yeah.
So this year has been themed with Denzel Washington movies throughout the entire calendar year. We started the year off with the tragedy Macbeth, and we're ending the year in December around his birthday for a top 5 plus 5 of Denzel Washington. But throughout the year, we've sprinkled some Denzel movies in there. This is just another one that has been sprinkled in there. So currently, what we're reviewing today, Philadelphia, with a December 22nd, 1993 release. IMDb has it at 7.7, Rotten Tomatoes at 79%. The Metascore is 66%, while the Google users have it at 88%. With a $26 million budget, this grossed a little over $207 million at the box office. When a man with HIV is fired by his law firm because of his condition, he hires a homophobic small-time lawyer as the only willing advocate for a wrongful dismissal suit. Starring Tom Hanks, Denzel Washington. You also have Anna Smith in there. Shanda Wilson is a small part in there. Antonio Banderas, Bradley Whitford, directed by Jonathan Demme, written by Ron Swanner. So, guys, this is definitely a different Denzel movie than we're used to. But let's talk about it. That's what we're getting into today. This is like the 5th or 6th time I've checked it out. First time was like 3-4 years ago, and I had never seen it before. I'd always wanted to see it, but I just couldn't find it on Blu-ray. I didn't want to waste the money on DVD because I knew that it was eventually going to hit. And you know what? At the time, I finished the movie, kept it in, and just rewatched it. Um, Ed, what about you? Was this a first time watch for you?
No,
No.
I think the first time was back in March or February, one of the two. It had actually came up on the TV. I wasn't the one that tried to watch it, but I think we had talked about it before a while back,
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
I've brought it up in several recent watches.
So it kind of just got me, kind of interested in it. And yeah, once it was on TV, I think I caught it from after he was fired for sure.
So,
So
in
I
a few
think,
short words, what was it
yeah,
like revisiting it for the podcast?
more informative. Got to actually watch the entire version. So
Craig, first time watch?
Yeah, first time watch. Watched it yesterday. Um, the movies like this, where it kind of puts two people that, well, I mean, they kind of knew each other beforehand.
Yep.
But then that the AIDS came in, and they, it's kind of like, I don't know. We'll get into it, but it was a good watch. I enjoyed the acting. I enjoyed the chemistry, and it's I would say feel good story, but
So you brought it up perfectly. They kind of knew each other. That's where we'll start from. You get the film opened up. You get the Bruce Springsteen song opening up the movie, but then you see Tom Hanks and Denzel, um, Andy and Joe sitting in the office, and they're going through. They're obviously the two lawyers representing two different companies, but that's where you get the first take from them. Um, Tom Hanks, you can obviously tell, is a younger, more arrogant, cocky, really, really good lawyer. Denzel, he's the TV guy. So that's the first time that you guys see them together. Um, but then it goes straight into Tom Hanks visiting the doctors and going
yeah.
to the doctor's appointments. So, first thoughts on Andy? We'll get into Denzel a little bit later on, but what's your first thoughts on Andrew Beckett and Tom Hanks in this movie?
Go ahead.
um, I'm used to him being, or Tom Hanks being, in kind of more either soft spoken roles, or not really soft spoken, I guess, but more
Lighthearted.
like, yeah, that's a good word for it, actually. Thank you. Lighthearted roles that aren't necessarily like, okay, I'm used to the Angels and Demons or the Lost or
Castaway.
Castaway. Thank you. Sorry. Why do I always do that? I'm high, obviously. Nah. Um, but there's a lot of different things like that I'm used to. So this was a definite different role for me to see him in. Didn't say bad for that matter at all, because I think both lead actors, well, I say both lead actors, but both actors for that matter, just straight up destroyed each role they were given. Yeah.
Right. So, what are your thoughts on Andrew Beckett in the movie? Like, you first get introduced to him. So, what was your, kind of a lovable character? Kind of.
It was
Yeah.
weird seeing Tom Hanks as cocky. It was weird. But,
Yeah. I mean,
sorry.
he's kind of cocky, but he was also
He's humble.
he's humble. He's well spoken. He's um, I would say very down to. He was cocky, yes, but he was down to earth.
Yeah.
He was somebody that was you could approach him. He was approachable, and so that was kind of my just first impression of his character.
This movie was nominated for 5 Oscars, and it won 2 Best Music Original Song, Streets of Philadelphia, obviously. And then Tom Hanks won for Best Actor in a leading role for this movie. This is where he would do his back-to-back wins. He would win for Forrest Gump the year after. So like literally, he's getting ready. He gets called up and he's about to become partner, and you think everything is going really, really good. And then he's calling in. He's got, I think he said 4 straight days of call-ins. He's putting the
Yeah.
makeup on. He's worried about coming back looking like he just got done from a cruise.
Yeah.
And you also, this is where you see kind of, in the scene before that, you get introduced to Antonio Banderas as
Miguel.
he plays Miguel. And it was just very, very interesting seeing Antonio Banderas in this role. I think he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah,
But this,
it was a choice that you wouldn't have expected.
yeah,
In my
He's
opinion.
usually the ladies' man. You know what I mean? He's I don't know. It just definitely
It's
was
just yeah,
different. for him
when I
to
see
be-
Tom Hanks, I mean, Antonio Banderas is a good looking guy. Let's all be honest. But it's just not like when you were, if you were to picture somebody and you're writing a script for Tom Hanks and he's playing the role he's playing, in my head I'm not going Antonio Ben, you know what I mean? Like that's just
Yeah. It's a little bit of a weird match, but I mean, it has its chemistry for it.
It does,
It
yeah.
does, man.
and it's weird because
Cool
Antonio Banderas, like he has a role in the movie, but he's a second tier character in this movie.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, everybody's kind of a second tier character to Tom Hanks and Denzel in this movie, but you would think somebody of his stature would be a little more prominent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Good bring up. I also wanted to bring up that both of these directors or both of these actors haven't been in a movie since, but looking back at it, how special was this movie because of just both of them being in the movie at the same time together. Like you're having Tom Hanks, Denzel, same exact movie, and then looking at it almost 30 years later, two of the greatest
Where
of
they're
all
sitting.
time
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
same movie together. Phenomenal.
And you talk about it and you say that, and they weren't in anything else, were they?
Not together, no.
Like that's something that, I mean, yes, you could sit there and say like,
I mean, being a big sports fan, like a lot of us are, that's like getting the dream match of Brady Manning in a Super Bowl. Obviously it never happened, but like, those are two of the greatest of all time being together in the same movie, and hasn't been done since.
Yeah.
And I mean that's one of the things is kind of like, what was it something that nobody else wanted to ruin that
Performance.
Yeah,
Maybe they knew what
honestly.
they put together for that movie was special and it could never be matched again.
Yeah. And if anybody wanted to see them together on screen, they would have to see that and get, the story that they told in that movie. So I could see that with it. Maybe they both felt a certain obligation to maybe not discredit what this film represented.
Or maybe it's just their times.
Yeah, maybe. Oh.
But this is roughly almost 30 years later, so it's a long time.
And we talk about that, but then we also go back and we're like, we say Chris Hemsworth was casted for Thor, but blank, blank, and blank auditioned for it. We don't know what other movies they could have auditioned for to be put together, and somebody else was casted for it. So, I think that would be interesting to
see what movies they were almost in together.
See, not just that, but like get a history of everything that Denzel is auditioned for that maybe he didn't get for, and then kind of see like, oh well, he was going to be in this movie compared to Morgan Freeman, for instance, or something like that. Maybe
and you know what? Also, like we now see as adults, we think 10 years go by fast. What if for them just 30 years went by just so fast they just never got the opportunity to do it again?
Yeah.
That's true.
Work is just crazy for us, let alone for them always making movies. After this shortly, Tom Hanks had Forrest Gump, Toy Story took off. And then Denzel, Denzel was kind of in the young stages as well. After this movie took off, he just rocked, he hit everything. So they both, this was almost them at their peak, at
It
their
was like
top
they
when they're
go into the
getting
NBA at the rookies in the
exactly.
NBA.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like this was their draft year, and after this, they just shot off to the Rockets and never looked back.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, after seeing Miguel and Antonio Banderas, um, you start to see certain characters in the movie start putting that hate towards Tom Hanks's character. Start
Yeah.
putting hate towards Andrew, like the doctor telling Antonio Banderas, "I can have you removed. You're not immediate
Yeah.
family." So that's one area of the film that's already like uncomfortable to touch.
Yeah.
And then you get the missing file that starts to happen, and Tom Hanks and Andrew is already not feeling good. He's passing out. He's at the toilet, and now he's got this to worry about the missing file. And you know what? It says a month later, and it is what it is. Andrew gets fired, and he goes to seek out help. I think he said in the movie what he saw like
Nine.
nine different lawyers before he went to Joe, and before he went to Denzel's character.
And it's one of those things where, I mean, let's be honest. Segregation is not that far removed from being relevant. And so you think about this movie being in the 90s, people, we think about racism still being alive now, and it is. But back then, with it being removed, 20 years, maybe?
25.
25-ish.
So, somewhere around there.
People still had that same mindset where they were just like, there are groups that we don't want to work with and we don't want to have anything to deal with.
Well, I mean, it's racism, homophobia, different diseases that at the time weren't really even understood that well.
And what's crazy, this movie is almost 30 years removed, and we're still having the same issues.
Yeah.
Some of them, yeah. And I mean, to different degrees for that matter as well.
You guys, let me ask you guys this. Do you guys think this dialogue talking about, when they're in the steam room, we're in the sauna talking about the jokes that they're throwing out
on the back, and
do you guys think that dialogue can be used today or no?
As in,
no, for sure, no. Especially when Denzel is using, I'm not going to say it for
whatever reason,
for whatever reason. He says the F word about.
Okay.
He says it a lot.
Gay people,
he's using homophobic slurs.
And what was interesting for this is that you would think somebody of Denzel's, obviously Denzel is not the character, but he's playing the character, and you would think that the character in the movie would sit there and be like, you know what? I'm fighting these same issues, as a black man. I'm fighting these same issues. I need to, we're in the same boat. I should be helping him. I thought watching the movie he would realize that a little bit sooner.
Not until almost the end.
No, even in the library, I think when he saw it, it was more so about, hey, this is going to be an easy case.
Yeah.
But I agree. Like you said, it is the end when they really start to click and they're like, you know what? He is just a human. We're all humans.
Because go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're right. I was going to say you have the scene where he's in the drugstore, the drugstore scene, and that guy kind of comes on to him. And, you're like, man, if this was today and he's defending a gay man, he would not want to go off like that in public because it would make him look bad.
That case would be,
it'd be over.
People would have cameras and everything like that. They'd be like,
he'd be canceled.
He's defending this man, but he's out in public saying this to this man. Yeah, I agree with you. It's so easy to be canceled, and not just canceled, but they would see like, oh, he's only doing this for a paycheck. He doesn't believe that this man was actually wrongfully fired or terminated.
What'd you guys think of the 1 month transformation after, he walked into Joe's office looking for him and wanting to hire him? The way Tom Hanks looked, the shaved head, looking real thin. I thought the makeup was tremendous, but after just kind of being off the heels of a pandemic, how did it make you feel watching that? Denzel was like, "Oh, what happened to you?" And he's like, "I got AIDS." And then Denzel backs up really, really quick,
Yeah.
kind of wipes his hand. He starts looking around. You
Seeing
know,
everything he touches.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's man, I
Well,
could just imagine
in
the
his
feels.
defense, we had something very similar.
Yeah,
When COVID came around, what did we all do? We would sit there and look at people when they coughed. What did they touch? And you know, COVID was considered a deadly disease. Not so much as AIDS, because COVID was technically curable if you just, it would go away eventually if you were treating it correctly.
Well, I mean,
Whereas,
in today, okay, back then times, you had information that was spread by like newspapers and news channels and stuff like
right,
that. And we have similar stuff today, but it's a lot more misinformation for that matter. Just because, well, Sally says this, well, John says this, and well, Dave says this because, and Dave's right because Dave knows the doctors, dude, and Dave works for this, and it's just like, okay, but does Dave know, or is Dave's friend telling him that's something misconstrued?
right, and even so, with AIDS being so early on when this movie's set, because AIDS came out what, mid-80s, if I'm
I
not
think that's
mistaken.
when it was really hitting some
Really
people
hitting,
hard.
because
Yeah.
they were talking about 84, 85. They still just called it the plague for the gays, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
In terms of the movie. So they had no idea what it was. They didn't know it was only transferable through bodily fluids, or
Because one of the more.
so
Go ahead.
I was just, in Denzel's defense initially, he wasn't worried that he was a gay man. He was worried about the disease.
Because he just had a brand new baby.
He had a brand new baby, and he was afraid that he didn't know how the disease was contracted. He didn't know the history of the disease. And so that's why I'm saying, like, it shocked me that it took him that long to, be essentially friends with Andy, and vice versa, doing what he did to the guy in the drugstore. That's just what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Good bring up. Eventually Joe has a case. Denzel's like, let's get on it. I thought it was a phenomenal scene at the ball game in the suite where Denzel walks up to the suite and, you're being served, see you in court.
And then he sees Julia serving. He's like, hey, doctor, love you. You ever need a lawyer?
And I wanted to bring that up. We're going to talk about it a little bit later on too, but Denzel and Tom Hanks, Denzel specifically, I know Tom Hanks won the award, but dude, is it just me? But they just make this stuff seem easy. Like it's nothing. Like this acting is.
They walk in and piss excellence.
Yeah. It's just outstanding to me, and that's really when I saw the first glimmer of Denzel in this movie was walking upstairs, no shame in his game. I'm the TV guy, and he serves them the papers, man. I'm just like, and you get 46 minutes into the trial, 46 minutes into the movie, the trial begins.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this because I know it's gonna strike some nerve. The outside crowd, the outside of the courtroom, some of the signs, some of the I know it's just a movie, but
it's Adam and Eve,
yeah,
and it's stuff that
still goes on today.
Well, I mean, you look at
we've heard it personally.
You look at the new Spider-Man. They all painted him the same way. So I mean, the crowds literally kind of.
They painted Spider-Man.
Tom Holland's newest Spider-Man, when he basically got framed for murder.
I mean, I guess it's similar.
I'm not saying it's the same thing. I'm saying that they're basically, you're a
people
murderer,
are so
you're
quick to
hate,
judge.
Exactly, without even knowing the entire thing. And I mean, with that, it's more kind of whether it's personal beliefs, religious beliefs, whatever beliefs it is. It's kind of like, well, why don't you look at it from their side and kind of get what that person feels, because literally, like, you don't know how this person's understanding life.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the thing that is messed up with a lot of it, and that's one thing that kind of gives you a better look into Andrew Beckett, because literally, you're seeing it from his point of view, and kind of getting the hate or outward to inward for that matter, and seeing how he progresses through this entire film, how he handles it, how he joys and breakdowns, and fumbling for the lawyers, going through all that, and then kind of not necessarily a last ditch, but like, look, man, you're the best one I can think of right now. I've done this with X many, or X amount of, so
So
will you?
one of the things I wanted to bring up is, besides the courtroom, or besides the the courtroom drama starts, and the outside crowd is just a bunch of rabid wolves. Now you start getting really, really emotional into the story, and I don't know how invested you guys were in the characters, but by 46 minutes, I was fully invested. Even though some of the stuff I did not agree with Denzel on, I was invested with both of them. And then just Tom Hanks's character in general, you're like, man, you just feel so bad for the character. But he's sitting in on some treatments after the drugstore scene. We're like 15 minutes into the trial. After the day one, or after the first week of the trial, he's doing some treatments, and he's doing the treatments at home, and he's talking to Miguel. And Miguel's getting a little short with him about time, and Andrew Beckett's like, I don't want to do treatments today, and Miguel's like, no, you're doing treatments today. This is what's keeping you alive, and he gets upset, and Tom Hanks looks, and Andrew looks at him and says, "You're worried that we don't have enough time together." And you do, this movie is just super emotional on all kinds of levels, but um, you know, man, this dialogue like that, guys, it's just like, where do you get the time to not only put the dialogue into this movie, but 30 years later, dialogue's still so powerful that you just sit there and think about stuff like that. Like,
Well,
I don't know what went through you guys' mind, but as soon as I heard that piece of dialogue, I'm like, dude, stuff like
well,
that still goes on.
it's dealing with real world things. It's dealing with real world issues and problems that, whether solved or not solved, or on the road to being solved, or touched at all for that matter, it's not easy watching someone die and knowing that they're kind of giving up slowly and surely. You're like, nah, dude, you're trying to be there for him and all that. And especially, like, I can't imagine what it feels like for a spouse for that matter, or a significant other, anything like that. But with Antonio Banderas coming across, not necessarily pushy, but not necessarily like full on, like, I don't know, I'm wanting to say sentimental and all that. Not necessarily like, please do this because, but at the same time, like, not being too forceful either. Like, dude,
Yeah.
come on, like, you're just giving up. That's what you do now.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
None of us have ever been in that position. I hope none of us are ever in that position of basically having a countdown on your life. You know what I mean? Like, knowing you have AIDS and HIV/AIDS, I know there's like a timeline where they're like, okay, after a certain amount of years, you reach this stage, and I don't know everything about it, but from what I remember, like, there's timelines, and to pretty much have that clock counting down on your life, I couldn't imagine. Couldn't imagine.
Well, it's that kind of thought. Would you want to know how, when, and where you die? You know what I mean? And I mean that's kind of a thing that a lot of people don't really understand, think about. That's where a lot of others do think about. But to have a doctor, come up to you, whether it be cancer, whether it be HIV/AIDS, whether it be anything like that, and just be like,
Yeah.
oh, Mr. Jones, you have three months to live. Might want to get your preparations in order, or however they say it.
Well, they
That's
didn't
an
have any
insane
of those
thing.
scenes in the movie, which I was
No.
kind of thankful for.
Yeah,
I mean,
no joke about
like,
that.
kind of did. I'm trying to remember. There was one scene where it's during the trial. He tells Joe, he's like, I may not be here to see the rest of the trial.
Right.
Yep.
So he pretty much tells him, like, I have a deadline. and you
and,
might have
and
to finish this race without me.
and what I liked about the timeline was it's a hidden timeline.
Yes.
You probably knew he was going to go, but you didn't have a doctor say you got 3 months, you got 6 months, you
Yeah.
got 9 months. The
Yeah.
movie goes from like I think almost a full calendar year because you do get to see um, you get to see pumpkins. I think on the beginning at the at the doorstep of his parents. You get to see Joe talk to the Salvation Army Santa Claus, the TV guy.
Yeah.
So you do see a full calendar year pass from the moment you see them in the beginning until the very very end. So roughly about a year and a half, 2 year timeline. Um, yeah. So after the drugstore scene, what do you guys think of the dialogue of Tom Hanks asking Joe, "Do you pray?" right before the opera scene? And what do you guys think of the opera scene?
Um. Well, I thought when he was asked, because they were going over the um I can't think of the word.
They
They were
run over
going
some
over the
notes.
questions that they were going to ask the next day at the trial. And when he asked him if he's, do you pray? I thought he was going to, that was he was going to kind of rebuttal with something else towards his question. I didn't know it was going to go the route it did. And I think that that is the moment that Joe was like, it was a weird scene. It was almost A24ish with the lighting and the camera
Yeah,
angles. But I think that is the moment that Joe was kind of like, I don't know. He was like,
it was different.
he was trying, like, it felt like Joe knew him a little bit better, but it was also like, this is still a mystery to me. Like,
It
how is this man so happy and so not ingrained, but like so
I think it was kind
loving
of
of the song with how his life is currently going.
I think it was the turning point in a way for that matter. Not necessarily the question, but those scenes building off of what you're actually talking about. When when you don't know somebody, when you don't know their walk of life, when you don't know their choices, their feelings, their inspirations, their different things like that, you kind of have to gauge an understanding whether it's a very short time period or whether it's a very long time period. And I think that shows very well in this, um, how Joe goes about it with Andrew. Um, because you see the transition throughout the entire movie. Uh, yeah, the I mean, honestly, it's just Denzel and Tom Hanks doing what they do. It's kind of one of those things of talking to whether they talk to different people to get understandings of how to kind of act or think about being with that or yeah yeah
It was an emotional scene. Like, you don't
yeah
know why it was emotional. He's just kind of explaining what the opera lady is singing about, and then you have all of the changing of the lighting and the. I mean, Denzel just looks like he's getting absolutely like his edibles hitting. um, it was just a moment where you're just kind of like, okay, this is weird. It's uncomfortable. It's telling. It's like there were so many emotions going through in that scene, and I'm surprised I've never seen it before, to be honest.
Yeah, very very emotional scene, especially seeing those two together right in the smack dab of the opera scene. Um, things the trial. I do say I really love a good courtroom drama.
Yeah,
There's a lot of good
liar,
movies.
liar.
There's a lot of good courtroom drama movies out there, and I think the ones that nail it just they're phenomenal movies. And I could I wanted to go with that top five today, but I think I put it in the bag to save for later. Um, Andy takes the stand after everybody else does, unless anybody else has a memorable um, scene of anybody else taking the stand. They bring up numerous people throughout the trial, But I think when Andy takes the stand is, you
Well,
know,
I think when Denzel kind of questions Wheeler to make him like, he's like, are you gay? Are you homosexual? And he's like questioning him in a way that it's like he's trying to break him
yep.
to make him slip or say something, and it was, God, it was just the way he was questioning him. Denzel was just like, okay, you want to explain it to me like I'm a 6-year-old then. He's like, did he win the case? Yes. Were you satisfactory? Yes. Like, not only was it Andrew on the stand, but it was the way that Denzel was playing ball with these people who, like, he knew everybody was against him in that courtroom because he was that same person before he decided to help him.
Yeah.
So he knew what everybody else was thinking. And I think that's what makes the courtroom scene so good, is because that Joe was one of those people. So he knows everything that they're thinking.
And he goes so fast, and he goes so 90 to nothing, like comparing the bologna to the caviar.
Yeah.
Like, dude, the Denzel just made it look super easy. Like it made you feel like you were watching a real courtroom drama happening on TV.
Yeah. I agree.
The mirror scene where she asks Andrew to look in the mirror, and she's like, "Do you see any visible lesions on your face?" And he answers, "No, I can't see them clearly." And then Denzel's like, "Thank you for doing that, because this just won me the case."
Yeah, well, and that's the thing about courtrooms, is when the opposing side opens up something, you can use it for your side as well.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you don't see any here, but I still have 95% of my body. And yeah.
Well, I mean, and I know this is kind of that scene in particular kind of reminded me in a way of Walking Tall with Dwayne Johnson from back in the day. Because same kind of thing, courtroom and all that. And at first it was just kind of like, well, what evidence or what pain or whatever like that did they cause you? And he rips his shirt off, and he's got a huge scar just running across, and it shocks a
They
lot of
tortured him.
people. The judge is like, but no, but and it's like, no, this is what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
This is that. And I mean, that's the same thing, but in quite a bit of different circumstance with this. Just because you can't see anything from the, cuffs up or the neck up, everything else is covered.
Yeah.
This is how I have to go ahead and show you. This is how I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
And I mean, who knows if, one day one of them was bleeding, one of them, he was changing, because a shirt had gotten rained on, or food or something. Stuff happens. And I mean, it's kind of a thing that shows sometimes the law does and doesn't do its process in ways. But with that, I agree. Full feel of a courtroom, kind of mechanic for that matter.
So Andy takes off his shirt at the stand, and Denzel makes him show the legions, which is obviously the nail on the coffin for the the win.
Yeah.
But then Andy passes out, and then you got the verdict. So while Andy's in the hospital fighting for his life, Denzel and everybody finds out that they win, and how much money that he's granted.
Well, I liked the jury scene behind the scenes, because you think that the guy is against Andy because he's looking at the guy and he's laughing with him, and then at the end he's like, "You're not going to send a guy who's trying to prove himself to fly a $3.5 billion plane. You're going to send your ace, your Top Gun, your Maverick. All right, you're going to send that guy." And it was, it's kind of, I think it was meant to be in there too, because you felt so invested at that point as a viewer, and then you thinking, oh, the jury, everybody's against them, and then the guy that you think is the most against them is in there, and he's probably the one that helps win the case for them.
Yep.
And then he ends up reading the numbers and everything that they won, and I think at that point you're like, you know what, justice was served. And going back to when Andy was talking about why he wanted to be a lawyer, he's like, because there's those few times where you're on the right side of justice and it feels good. And it was just, I know the
Denzel's
dialogue's written for them, but they delivered it with excellence,
with
man.
ease.
Yeah.
Denzel's winning face when he turns around and gives the old the
The wink.
nod. Dude, man, like wow, that's fun. Fun stuff like that, you know, it's like he makes winning look like,
Easy.
well, not only
Fun.
easy, but he makes it look like he really cared about the case.
Yeah.
You know, you care about the character, you care about the case. If all that's believable, then I think you have a good mixture for a good movie. Um, hard to talk about, hard to watch. The hospital scene where, you know, everybody goes and visits Andy, what they don't think would be the last time, but they do. Denzel goes in there and says, "Hey, keep it on ice." Um, you know,
I think he knew leaving because he was like, "I'll catch you again," not later, but again in the terms of like, you know, when uh, as a Christian, you know, you kind of grew up to believe that you'll see somebody again, and it was in that moment where he was like, you know, it's not see you later, it's see you again. And so him kind of leaving the way he did and hugging Miguel, you kind of knew that something was coming, but the way Miguel went in there and he was just like, you know, it's time, man. Like, you were just like, fuck, no.
very very emotional scene. And Tom Hanks, you know, that he helps him pull the mouse down. Yeah, you're right. He's, you know, I'm ready. But then you have the music, and you have everybody meeting at Andrew's place, the pictures,
The
the gathering,
videos.
the videos, and it's just like, man, you know, and it's a sad ending. But you kind of, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of felt at peace with the character that, you know, he got to live this extraordinary life. He was a very precise and extremely good lawyer. Um, he lived with no regrets. He
Well,
was treated poorly, treated unfairly, but I don't know if the winnings went to the mom or but he did ask Denzel to
for
help
charity.
him, yeah, for charity, and then he needed some help with Miguel.
I think one of the good scenes that we haven't touched on yet was before the case started. He went to his family and he was like,
Oh yeah,
are you guys okay with me doing this? Because you're going to hear stuff that you probably don't want to hear. And you do in the case. You hear about him going to that movie theater, and you know the most likely the time that he contracted HIV/AIDS. But they were all like, you know what, we we're here for you. You know, and a lot of times when people decide to, and you don't know if his parents knew about it beforehand or not. Um, you know, it's a lot of times you hear people and they're like, I didn't get that support.
what did
I
what did you
didn't.
what did you guys think when you heard the sisters say, "Hey, we don't know how mom and dad are going to feel"? Did you guys start to think that they are going to
I
be
think
negative on him?
I thought yes and no. I thought yes initially, but then when the mom started talking, I was like, it's the sister who's uncomfortable with it because she was like, are you sure they're not worried? Like trying to put the blame on somebody else
Yeah.
instead of like saying out loud that it was her.
I think anybody who has, if you're a parent, a guardian, a brother, a sister, and you just feel uncomfortable, like that scene right there, I'm glad you brought that up, Craig. That whole family sequence scene, that's exactly how you should support and be behind somebody
Not
100% of the time.
not just for the subject matter of this.
Right. For anything.
Like you need to have that type of support system. And if they're not there to support you in that sort of way, you need to have a circle that will.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
man, I'm so glad you brought that scene. That scene, that's a powerful, powerful scene. Man, is that a powerful scene.
yeah. Because I'm not going to say who, but recently I had somebody. They said I was the first one outside of their immediates that they told because they weren't sure how people take it. I was like, dude, who cares how other people take it? If they take it negatively, mark them off the list. Move on. You don't need them. And you know, he was afraid of how other people in his family was going to take it. I said the same thing. Tell him if he doesn't like it, who cares? I was like, dude, I'll be here for you. So you need people like that. I'm not trying to shine light on me, but it's a fact.
Yeah.
You don't need negative people in your life. Life's too short to sit here and be worried about what other people are thinking.
Well, you've got
Not only is it too short, but dude, life is too hard to
Yeah.
put that much more heartache on you. Like you're gonna get your heart broken like 98% of the time anyway. So like, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Like, surround yourself with eagles and not turkeys.
oh my god.
Yeah. But Craig, since you brought up a tremendous scene, let's dig into favorite scene.
Favorite scenes.
Um, Ed, let's start with you, Ed.
I mean, I might be, kind of a usual, if you will, for this one, but the part where he does show the lesions and all that, because to me that is the singular most powerful kind of look as well as scene of the build up as well as the actual punch and then the after effect. To me, that scene was just like, oh, they're really going there. Okay, kind of deal. Um, yeah, that one sticks out to me 100%. Even the first time I watched it, I was just like, what's going on? So yeah.
Craig.
I liked the all of the Denzel uh, court scenes were amazing. But I liked the Halloween scene after, where they show up as sailors, because the guy on the stand was talking about how they had that one guy who was a sailor and did all that, and they dressed up as sailors, and he was also a lawsuit. I just thought it was funny, kind of throwing little gimmicks in there, trying to be lighthearted, in the midst of everything being negative. So
If I had to pick just one scene that just stands out, when the trial very first starts and Denzel looks at the jury and says, "This is why we're here," and he's like, "Hey, AIDS is a disgusting, devilish disease, and we want to just get as far away from it as possible." When Denzel's like, "Hey, even I want to get rid of it. Even I want to get away from him."
he puts everything out there.
He puts everything out there. He doesn't hold anything back, and it's just, man, it is Denzel doing Denzel things, and he just knocks it out of the park. And dude, he made it look so easy when he's talking to the jury. I don't know about you guys, but when that man is on screen, the phone goes down, you're glued, and you're listening to what he's saying.
Yeah,
I don't know how many times we're saying that in these movies that we're talking about
about
Denzel, but
Denzel. Yeah,
but we do. Um, so
It's
that
those
being
unique
said,
voices.
and Denzel's pretty much batting 1,000. He's knocking it out of the park every time. All right,
he is. And you know
he's
what,
on.
you guys are going to hear us knocking out of the park. I'm going to release not only September but October's schedule as well, all in this episode. So you're going to get the next few episodes, the announcements right here, right now. But before we get to that, star rating 1 out of 10, guys. If you have not listened to an episode yet, we rate our movies 1 out of 10. 1 being Power of the God, Power of the Dog. 10 being Maverick. So Ed, we'll start with you. What's your star rating?
Man, 10. I mean, they're wrong. This movie touches on so many different aspects of life. It touches on so many good dialogue points. So there's just a ton about this movie that's just amazing. So yeah, straight up 10.
Greg?
I'm going to give it an 8. I think the actors obviously make the movie. The dialogue's great. The story, I felt like it jumped around a little bit. Not necessarily as much as like going back and forth, but I felt like it jumped periods of time, and you weren't exactly how long it jumped. So I wish it was a little more informative on that. Just because I felt like there was pieces of information that I missed here and there. So give it an 8.
You know what? This is again one of those movies that it just hits for the feels for me. And even though it's a 2 hour and 5 minute movie, you sit down, you get glued
It
into
was
the.
long, but it didn't feel it.
Oh yeah, it didn't feel long for me at all. So I'm gonna give this movie a 10. Performances are amazing. The only thing, if I had to say, hey, would be the surrounding cast. Maybe didn't get, but when you have Denzel and Tom Hanks in there, you don't need anything.
The surrounding cast was Antonio Banderas.
Yeah. And I thought the performances were great. The songs were heartfelt. The scenes were put together very, very well. Dude, it's just a sad, emotional movie, and I'm a sucker for courtroom dramas. You got Denzel and Tom Hanks as well. So Philadelphia gets a 10 for me. I'm excited to hear everybody else's thoughts. Send in your emails, and we will talk about everybody else's star rating in this episode. I have a few that I'm going to read today, and more next week. But episodes coming up before we get in the email bag. Next week, guys, we are talking episode 210, The Black Phone. Horror season begins for us at the Cinema Movie Podcast next week as we talk all about The Black Phone, 2022 horror movie that came out this year starring Ethan Hawke. So I'm excited about The Black Phone next week. Monday, September the 19th, we're going back to the theaters. We're going to talk A24 again one more time. We're going to talk Pearl, the prequel to X. September the 19th. September 26th, we get to stay at home and check out From Dusk Till Dawn, starring Quentin Tarantino and George Clooney. So getting ready to get into some more spooky season movies. Craig taking a shot over there?
No, it was a little,
Okay.
little DP.
So From Dusk Till Dawn ends the month of September. We start October with Signs, Monday, October the 3rd. We'll talk about Signs. October.
Got my cup of water right here.
Hey, remember, don't forget, we're all gonna have foil hats that day.
Foil hats and cups of water.
Yeah. October the 10th, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors.
Ooh.
Monday,
I just watched
October
that not so long ago.
Monday, October the 10th. Monday, October the 17th, we go back to the theater, or we stay home and watch it on the Peacock. Halloween Ends. Monday, October the 17th. Monday, October the 24th, another Denzel movie. It's not really a horror movie, but it's a thriller suspense. We're talking The Bone Collector with Denzel Washington, and anybody else want to take a guess who's in there? She played Tomb Raider. She was Lara Croft.
Angelina
Jolie and Denzel have a movie together. We talk about it October 24th. We talk The Bone Collector. And then we end October, Halloween night, Monday, October the 31st. We talk Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. So we're talking a Halloween movie on Halloween. Should be fun.
We'll talk about that.
Other than that, guys, horror season is in full effect starting next week. Episode 210, The Black Phone, Ethan Hawke. That's also available to stream on the Peacock. So if you don't have it, go out and check it out and listen to us review it next week, next Monday, September the 12th. But it is time to read off some emails.
The mail's here.
If you guys have not, send us in some emails. Send us in your thoughts, good, bad, ugly. We'll read them. CINEMEN921@gmail.com. That's Cine-Men921@gmail.com. Chargers Boy 01. I have a recommendation since you guys are dedicating a year to Denzel, January to December. Who or what would you guys want to dedicate next year to?
It's a good one. It's a good question. Well, we've thought about this multiple times.
Yeah.
Because we like doing stuff like this. It would have to be one that I sit down and think about, in all honesty.
I know since his birthday is on a Monday next July and Mission Impossible comes out in July. I know we were talking about doing something for Tom Cruise.
Tommy.
Yeah. Or maybe Leo.
Gary Oldman,
This fucking guy
Jeff
brings up
Bridges.
Gary Oldman.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges would be fun. You know, I'm still years later still wanting to talk about The Big
The
Lebowski.
Big Lebowski, and I have still yet to see it.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're saving that. Quentin says the Tokyo Revengers episode was such a good listen. I love anime, and I'm so glad that you guys are finally touching the subject.
Yeah.
Look at Ed out here having a big episode with Ernie of all people.
Oh,
Sounds like an episode of Sesame Street.
Today's letter is E.
So many of you guys can so many anime series you guys could tackle. The series is definitely a 10 for sure. So Tokyo Revengers is on HBO Max. They have not, Edward and Ernie have not given their star rating for Tokyo Revengers. They will be giving it this Thursday, this Thursday, the 8th, in episode 2 of Tokyo Revengers. Henry says X was promising. I enjoyed the film, but didn't like the ending. It gets a 6 from me. X. Which, man, you know, guys, it feels like it was months since we've reviewed X. I'm looking back and I'm like, dude, this is the first episode of September, but A24 month feels miles and miles ago. I don't know about you guys.
Strangely enough.
Stephanie580 says my top 5 A24 movies are in this order: 5 Spring Breakers, 4 Lady Bird, 3 Last Black Man in San Francisco, number 2 Waves, and number 1 The Lighthouse.
There you go.
Charles says my top 5 A24 movies are in this order: number 5 Uncut Gems, number 4 Hereditary, number 3 Waves, number 2 The Lobster, number 1 Swiss Army Man.
I'm gonna need you to start saying Charles like Magneto, like Charles.
Charles. Omar says Tokyo Revengers is off the hook. Must see series, not only for anime fans but just TV fans in general. Super exciting. Highly recommend it. Such a joy to watch. 9 stars.
I'll have to check it out. You know,
Yeah.
I watch a lot of anime, so that's one I haven't seen yet.
Oh, you'll like it, I promise.
SamG69 says, first time seeing Philadelphia, and what an emotional roller coaster. 10 stars. I can't believe this is the first time, and I've never seen or heard about this.
Correct. Same. Never heard about it.
Guys, it kind of just baffles me though. Like, you know, I like doing episodes like this because, you know, maybe not only is it a first time watch for one of you guys, but we get some emails coming in and they're like, where has this movie been my entire life?
What was the other one with
so much out there?
Morgan Freeman and Inspector Gadget.
Oh, The Shawshank Redemption.
No, not that one.
Oh,
the Glory.
Glory. Yeah.
Heard about Glory.
Inspector Gadget. I don't know why I said The Shawshank Redemption. Like Morgan Freeman, he's in prison with the fucking
Go Gadget.
Go Gadget. I can just fly the hell out of here.
Go Gadget Shank. No.
Man, we're hitting an hour and 50. I'm gonna read this one last email, then guys, we'll do a retrospect and get out of here. Barry says my top 5 A24 movies in this order: 5 The Lobster, number 4 The Rover, number 3 X, number 2 8th Grade, number 1 Hereditary. So a look back, guys.
Any emails referring to the movie besides the ones that we've read? Any others?
Philadelphia, no, not yet. So usually, and I find that weird. I don't know if maybe people listen to the episode later on in the week, but like I have noticed that like we'll get emails about the movie usually the following week later, like starting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
They might listen to us and then watch it and then, you know, email.
It was a busy weekend too, as well.
Oh yeah.
It was a Labor Day weekend. I keep forgetting it was a holiday weekend. Guys, a look back, man. 4 years, what a journey. Man, we've done so much in 4 years. We've done our first ever live events. We went to a Dead Center Film Festival. You guys went to another event at Rodeo Cinema a few weeks ago.
Oh, hi, Mark.
So, man, what do you guys want to see in year 5? What do you guys want to see happen next year? We're going to our first Comic-Con, or not Comic-Con, but
I want
this year.
a listener interaction day where like
We get somebody to come on.
no, like
I
if
think
we
he's
get
talking about like other people coming in and talking to us,
if we
not
got enough,
live.
like we send out an RSVP and we get enough people, it's like, hey, we're gonna go down to I don't know this restaurant. Come sit
Sissetel
with
Park or
us.
whatever.
Come sit with us. Come talk. Come hang out. We're gonna grab some food at Earl's Rib Palace or something like that. You know, we're gonna be there at 2:00. Come in, talk to us, hang out. Let's talk movies. Let's talk your favorite episodes in person. I think that would be pretty cool.
So
Yeah,
you're saying something not like something we don't record, just like an event where
Just
people
like
come out
something
and
come.
hang out with us.
I wouldn't call it like a meet and greet, but like, yeah, just come out, hang out with us, talk to us. You know, because when we were at Rodeo Cine-Men, we're doing the podcast and the movie for um, Independence Day. You know, we were kind of busy. People were there, but it's just like, hey, thanks for coming. But I would like something where we can come and chat. You know, kick it, eat some lunch, watch some football, drink some beers if you're of that age.
can I kick it? You know,
You know what better place to maybe do that than we'll get something together with Abel. Maybe do it at San Marcos.
Boom.
We're there. Ed, what about you? What do you want to see happen in like in the next 12 months? What else can we do, or how else could we evolve to be just? I mean, yeah, downloads and listens from other states and other countries and other parts of the world are fun. It's good to see those numbers for me, but
other
like,
planets.
what else can we do to get more involved in the community? Which we already do enough. You know, what else can we do? What else can be that next step? Do we go volunteer to soup kitchen this Thanksgiving? What do we do?
Honestly, I think stuff like this con is going to be a great thing for us.
Just networking.
Yeah, you know, and I mean that's the thing because we'll get to interact and see how others do their stuff on a field, I guess, basis. We'll get to see, maybe they'll have we'll see other ideas that they bring that we were like, never thought about that. That's freaking cool, or anything like that. But I mean, as far as like that, networking is a huge thing, as well as kind of like what Craig said. I think that'd be an awesome thing just to go and be able to hang out, or whether it's a meal, whether it's a movie, whether it's whatever, or even a Q&A with us for that matter of, anything. I think that would be kind of
come watch a movie
legit.
with us. We're going to review a movie Monday. Come watch it with us and
go from there.
And we can go have lunch after. Something like that. Something like that.
A lot of things we can go out and do community-wise, public-wise. Holidays are coming up. Maybe the Cine-Men movie podcast can do it. Maybe we can put together a toy drive or something.
We could, there's a thing called Discord. Discord is a site where you pretty much have little group chats where people can post, talk, chat. You can come in and do voice chats. You can stream. We could do a movie night where we all get in Discord and people can watch the movie with us live.
Kind of like what Riddler did.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But there is that, if we want to take that next step, we can do it. We just got to talk about it. And we have to have people say they would be interested in doing stuff like that. If you're listening to this and you know what Discord is and you know how it works, send us an email and be like, hey, that's a great idea. I would love to have a movie night with you guys. I would love to chat with other people and interact with other people who listen to the podcast. Because we can do stuff locally at San Marcos, but since we do have listeners outside of the metro area, we could do something on Discord and do like giveaways during that. You know what I'm saying? Like a live event. It's live, but we're not on, you know what I mean?
And I'll show you guys here. We can even do stuff like that here. See, I mean, we're watching the trailer now for what we're talking about next. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
But that's one, like, can people be in and watch it with us?
Yeah.
Hang it up. Hang it up.
It sounds a little weird. I don't know if it's the I don't know if it's the stream or if it's the video.
Yeah.
So sounds like some trouble.
So we can just
troubles up.
We could even do like stuff like that. So I think it's going to be fun. Has anybody seen the Black Phone yet?
I have not.
No?
Once when I found out
Um,
we were doing it for the episode, I waited.
pretty fun times, guys. I think it's going to be fun next week. Horror season kicks off with us. Like I said, for those of you that are watching us on this YouTube channel, Imsawa Productions, you get a horror movie review every single Wednesday. I know this Wednesday we're talking Little Nicky on Friday the 14th.
How you do that?
Next Wednesday, September the 14th, I my pick was Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie version. So we're going to talk about that. But guys, horror season, coming up. You guys excited next week? Black Phone, a whole month and a half of horror movies again. Are you guys excited?
Huh? Yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely excited about that. I mean, there's a special time of year where all the creepies and scaries come out, so it's always nice around this time of year.
So next week's going to be a jam-packed episode, guys. Not only do we have the review of the Black Phone, but we're talking to Jay, director from Australia. And next week, Disney Plus Day is this weekend. So guess what? We're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about in recent watches and movie news.
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
It looked good.
Yeah.
It
So
looked good.
we're gonna have a lot of stuff to talk about next week. Next week starts year 5 and it starts horror season. Guys, unless you have anything else to do, I think we're gonna call it a day. Ed?
Nah, man, just gonna go ahead and say 4 years has been fun. Here's to 5. And yeah, this is Ed saying I'll see you on the silver screen.
Craig,
That
you have
means
anything you wanna
we've
push
been
in
doing this
before?
podcast for as long as Adley's been alive.
Yeah.
Adley will be 5 in February, pretty much. So,
Yeah.
started it that year. It's crazy to think about it that way. Like just how long you guys have been doing this, and think about how long I've been a part of it. Time just flies. Time flies.
Down since day one.
Day 1-ish. We're good.
I was there when it happened.
It was there. And you know what? I mean, a little look back. I mean, that's kind of why I didn't expect Craig to be like, let's start with you, Craig. Let's just be there from day 1-ish too. But I was like, got a new baby. Things were busy, man. You were busy.
Before then. What is that? The Incredibles? He's like,
Andor's coming out too, right? Is that come out on Disney Plus?
It's like 2 weeks, yeah.
Oh man, so yeah,
It might be the 8th.
I don't know. There's a lot of fun stuff. Hocus Pocus 2 coming up soon. There's gonna be a lot of stuff to talk about on recent watches. So, Craig, unless you have anything else, I think we'll be done.
No, Clemson's up 14-3 on Georgia Tech. So
Nice.
I lost my parlay this weekend, so we'll try again next week.
Tokyo Revengers this Thursday. Ernie and Edward have a fun conversation, and they wrap up the series before we get into our next anime movie, which is Akira from 1988. But next week, guys, the Black Phone right here, episode 210, the Black Phone, next Monday on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.